It's that time again, y'all. I know some of y'all are probably like, is she gonna do it? But trust me, if there's anyone worried that I might forget, Ingrid has got you, because she's literally texting me like, are we gonna get another FJORDSFEST? She has a very specific obsession with my face swatching videos. Like they're just this like perfect kind of chaotic representation of all of the makeup that helps her, you know, visualize things, and I don't think she's alone. If you're unfamiliar with FJORDSFEST, it is me swatching all of my Fjordsy blushes on my face and discerning the differences between them. And it's just supposed to be fun, but it's also pretty useful. And this is a really good opportunity for the new people for me to actually explain what we're talking about when I say the word fjords all the time. It started a long time ago. I just kind of like riffed this random thing where I was like, I like it when I actually look realistically like red in the face, like ruddy on my cheeks, but not sweaty and like I would like I actually do when I take a lap, you know, but more like when it's cold outside and you just, it's this fantasy of being like a child running through the fjords, you know, and everyone's like, fjords are bodies of water. It's like, okay, well, and so like all these people started basically devising ways that we would be able to run on fjords, and there's even a video of a man trying to run on fjords that has been sent to me by y'all, but that's what we're talking about. We're talking about these blush tones that are berry colored, jammy, or kind of like a bricky color, you know, sort of in that spectrum that, depending on your skin tone and your undertones, are going to simulate a better than real life in most cases, that childlike flushed cheek thing. And this is really quite, I mean, honestly, the video would probably do a lot better if I include somewhere in the title, I'm cold. The I'm cold makeup look. I'm sorry, I'm so cynical about it because, and I mean, a lot of y'all are too. I got so many messages from y'all and tags from y'all being like, they owe you credit for this. Because TikTok has gone viral with this brand new concept, like they always do, of this I'm cold makeup concept, where they've basically reinvented Fjords cheeks. Regardless, I have a bucket here of all of those particular ones, and I'm going to basically unpack the undertones of them so that it helps y'all understand what's gonna work for you in terms of simulating that look. And also, I've got ones that I love in here and ones that I don't love, and I hope that that helps too. So let's go ahead and jump in to swatching all over my face. Oh, and the other thing is at the end I take a brush and I just swirl it all over my face, so it just ends up being all kind of like pinky berry colored. So stay tuned for that, it's a lot of fun. I'm gonna try and do this in some kind of order. I'm gonna get a headband. Just go for something that's like the very opposite of neutral. It's ragingly not neutral. Also, the only thing I have on my face right now are a little bit of blender cover because, this one greeted me with a smile this morning. Some of the new Thrive Clear Brow Gel, because the hold is amazing. It's so good. Look at it. They're standing up. They're not weighed down, but they're not crunchy and they're not flaky. It's great. I like it a lot. And I have a little bit of the Victoria Beckham lip gloss on, just clear, and a little bit of Thrive mascara on my outer lashes, brown. So let's do this. I feel like in terms of the intention of putting out certain products in certain colors, Chili from Say Beauty was one that was very much purported to be a Fjords cheeks kind of color, right? And I think that like when it spreads out, it probably kind of gives that vibe to some skin tones, but I do want to start with this as kind of an outlier because I don't think that it does the job. I don't really like this color on me, and I know that it's a great formula. I actually really like the formula. I know that it does work on some people in just a way of being a really pretty blush, but I do not think that it simulates chili cheeks, personally. It's just too pink. And the one from Say that I think actually does is called Dreamy, and it's just much more berry colored, you see? But it still has that opacity to it. But it's got a little bit more richness, a little bit more purple, just a little bit more everything. And it's one of those things where when you thin that out on the skin, it's gonna give you this color that I always say, it's like, you know, you can build like a snatched look by putting your blush, you know, blush placement kind of up here. You can get like that cherub cheek thing, you know, by building it here. But when you're doing sort of a simulated ruddy complexion, which a lot of people are like, why would you want to do that? some people it looks really cool, honestly. Like it's kind of like a sunburn or like sick eyes or anything like that. Like some people it just looks really cool. And when I do it, I kind of like run it from here to here, just like, it's supposed to look not like makeup, essentially. You know, it's like you do it almost on a bare face. It's just been a look that I loved achieving, especially on like a no makeup kind of face. Next, actually, I'm gonna do this one. This is the Natasha Denona Puff Paint in, I have gosh darn no idea. Yeah, they don't put the names of them on here, but it's their burgundy shade. And by comparison, it's, oh my God, it's so pretty. It actually looks quite a bit like Dreamy. But it's just that beautiful berry burgundy, but it makes Dreamy look almost like it's got more orange in it, you know what I mean? Because this just kind of goes a little bit more blue, you know? Isn't it funny how the just contrast and context can make things appear such a certain way? It's like when I did my bronzer video and I was like, these are all green, and y'all were like, green? And then I put the more orange ones on and y'all were like, it is green. And it's like, yeah, there's like this nuance to these shades, and that's why we do this. So those formulas are super, super similar to each other. Honestly, just incredibly similar, and they all dry down on their own. Like, they're like a little serumy, so it's like if you were to like take your finger, like really try, you could wrench it off your face, but they do inherently have their own dry down. And they dry down to like a really pretty kind of like serum consistency, like appearance, like a finish that looks kind of a little bit glossy. It's not like a powder when it's on, so I love that. Here's one that's new to my collection since the last FJORDSFEST, and this is the YSL Lip and Cheek Balmy Tint, and this one is so beautiful. I love this one a lot, and it's not super expensive, I don't think, because it's their YSL New. I think New is supposed to be kind of like Do Our Backstage, you know, it's just a slightly less expensive brand. And that one is wildly blue. Do you see that? By comparison, so we've gone from not really very fjordsy to something that's quite red now by comparison, and now we're going all the way into like blue purple. So this one's quite dewy. It dries down, like it has a difference between right when you put it on and when it gets a chance to dry a little bit, but it still stays a little bit more dewy, a little bit more jelly. But I like it a lot. And I like that you can see this one, the YSL, is a little more translucent, whereas all of these have a little bit more kind of like that white backing to them. And that's gonna make this work better for deeper skin tones where things might go ashy, typically. Here's one of my favorites. This is Tessa in the Triple Threat Color Stick from Thrive. It's really awesome because it's different in its texture, like its actual finish on the skin. Do you see how it's kind of like a powder almost? And so the way that it kind of absorbs light, the finish of it, makes it's just a completely different look. It looks actually more natural on some skin types because you're working with something dewy. That's gonna work really well if you're working on a dewy complexion, but if you're someone who doesn't always want to look dewy, or you are someone whose skin is naturally oily and you don't want to add more like greasy factor to it, you know, this is gonna be a really great hybrid texture that goes from cream to powder in a beautiful way, and it will sheer out as much as you need it to. And yes, it dries down insofar as it goes from a cream to a powder, but it doesn't freeze. So it's going to stay movable long enough for you to work with it. It's a brilliant formula. It's so, so pretty. And color-wise, I mean, it's really got that like rich depth to it that versus, you know, not having opacity to it, this has like opacity to it that will work on deep skin, you know? It's like it's meant to. I have to do this one, and I saw this on Cocoa Swatches recently, and I bought this because someone tagged me in it. This is the Valentino Eye to Cheek dual use blush and shadow, and I really am going to, you know, end up getting use out of this as an eyeshadow exclusively because let's be real, this was not made with me in mind, first and foremost. I thought maybe we could get it to work, but it is too deep for me, which means that it is absolutely gorgeous on deep skin tones. I will link Cocoa Swatch's video of her using this. She's like, I can't stop putting it on. So yeah, on black skin, off the charts, absolutely gorgeous. But it's this really gorgeous formula, and it's got a slight scent to it, but nowhere near like the eye glitter and stuff that's just like, you know, smacks you in the face as soon as you open it. I hardly would have even noticed it if I hadn't, you know, thought to smell for it kind of thing. That's the shade, and it's just, it's so gorgeous. But when I put it on, it's almost like it doesn't have enough ashiness to it to work on me, and so therefore it goes almost like muddy, you know? Because it's made for somebody else. And there's something really beautiful about that. And someone did say, like, you know, actually it's just brown, but it's not. It is deep, deep burgundy purple. And it's just the Fjords cheek dream color for very deep skin. All right, let's start working in the other direction here, and then we'll get a little shake going. I don't know. So next I have Plumberry from Makeup and Mario. I always say this, 10.5 grams of product in here for like $28. This is a fantastic value if you find a shade that you like in it, and the bronzers are gorgeous too. I digress. Either way, Plumberry. Yes, see, and this is a color I can wear that has a similar kind of vibe to that Valentino shade. And I guess what it is it's not so much that it has white behind it, it's that it has the in-between shades to bridge the gap between my skin tone and this right here. So it's like if you took this and you added these into it, so that it's like I layered blushes essentially, if you think about it. It's like I layered enough kind of in-between red tones to bridge the gap between me and this being the local color, versus someone with a lot more melanin in their skin is going to already have those tones built in. Does that make sense? So yeah, oof. Game over. They're just so pretty and they're so well priced. All right, another love of mine here. This is the Patrick Ta, oh, she's different blush. And this is a combo of a powder and a cream. Absolutely gorgeous. And you can see I've used the cream more because it is quite deep and like intense. And so I tend to use the cream as like a topper on other things more than I reach for this powder, because the powder can be a little bit intense. So if you're unfamiliar with the Patrick Ta blushes, the velvet blushes, is that what they're called? The monochrome moment blushes, the original ones are very sheer. Super, super like watercolor wash drapey. And these are really intense. So that's definitely something to keep in mind if you're trying to decide between them. You know, this is not for the faint of heart. So this is the powder. It's a mood. It's a thing. It's a decision that you have to like commit to, you know? And then here is the cream, and the cream is just much more sheer. Do you see that? And it's like dewy, so it's gonna bring skin texture back when you have a powder face on, you know, powder products on your cheeks or something. You can dab that on really gingerly, and it's going to bring back this beautiful, healthy skin finish, but without laying too much color down. It's absolutely beautiful, but you can see it's much more like translucent. You can see my freckles through it. Next, we have Daniel Sandler. This is the shade Berry in his watercolor gel cheek color. These are, I always say, they're like sophisticated Glossier cloud paints, and the colors are really similar. So this being Berry, you just start to see Daniel's sense of color theory, because it's not blah, right off the shelf Berry, you know? It is actually this super nuanced, look at the depth and the complexity to that shade. It is so similar to Storm Cloud Paint, which if you know, if you weren't there, well, many of you were not, back in the day, that was my first true Fjords shade, was Storm Cloud Paint from Glossier. And this just has a little bit more of a gel texture, hence the name, than the Glossier. And I feel like it makes it easier to work with. It commits to whatever texture you already have on your skin. So it's like, it's gonna be skin texture, or it'll go powder texture if you put it on top of powder, or it'll go dewy if you put it on top of something dewy. It's just great stuff. It's very intelligent, it feathers at the edges really nicely, and it's not like the cloud paint in the way that the cloud paint, it's like you never have little enough. You always end up with too much of it on your face. Like, there are so many times where I have gone to put cloud paint on top of another face of makeup, and it is the quickest pink face I've ever, it's on the good side. You'll like never finish a tube of it, but it just runs away from me. So I am next going to go in with the Storm Cloud Paint, because I want to show y'all the similarity in those two shades. Wait, this is Eve. I was like, that's not Storm. I'll do all three of the kind of Glossier Fjordsy shades all at once, but here is Storm. Super, super similar to the Daniel Sandler. A little bit more, what would you say? Sheer, I guess. But if you were to shear this one out, it would do the same thing, basically. They're very, 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 very similar. And then we have Eve, which is this very deep purple shade that they put out. Look at that. Oh, that's for deep skin. Is it not just so beautiful? It's like so rich. It's like an indulgent kind of berry color that goes all the way almost to like violet. And they're beautiful, beautiful formulas. Again, I don't reach for them because I don't get the versatility from them that I want now that I wear very different faces of makeup. I used to wear just, you know, a full face of Glossier and just dibby-dabbing that on and getting a chance to like, you know, you get to like go and patch it back up with other things after the fact is one thing, but manipulating that, and it's kind of unforgiving because it just tends to kind of spread and spread and spread and spread and spread. It's like the blush equivalent of an Anastasia eyeshadow. All right, and then the other one, and this is kind of all the way at the other end of the spectrum of what you could even call a Fjordsy shade, but this is more for people who have very like medium golden skin, and this is the shade Haze. I can wear it, but if you want to get an actual like fjords, like achieve that look from a color like this, I would recommend it only to people who have quite golden skin, all the way to like golden olive. You know, like that color on a golden olive skin tone is going to pull a nice kind of like more muddy berry color. But on me, you can see it's just kind of, I mean, it's pretty. It's very pretty, but it goes pink. Kind of verging on screaming pink. All right. Next we have Mood from Merit. Y'all recommended this and I'm so pleased with the I know that it's not much, but they changed the packaging on this and made it gold and it just feels totally different. I really like this. Oh, what a color. My skin does try to eat this. I feel like that's kind of the thing with Merit is they err on the side of everything being really sheer and it makes it user friendly, but it also makes it a little bit like, where did it go? Especially their bronzer. I find myself just reaching for even if I've put it on, I end up finding myself reaching for another bronzer after the fact because like once that color is sheared out to your liking, it kind of then goes away and you have to do it again, which gets a little aggravating. My face does that with cloud paint too, but not to this extent. So yeah, especially when I'm wearing like a complexion product and stuff like that, there's just something about it that wants to disappear, but I gotta hand it to them. That color is great. Some phenomenally well priced. I think these are $18 and you know, it's Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all that stuff right now. So might as well get while the getting's good anyway. I think these are, yeah, they're probably on sale on Ulta too. So the About Face Cheek Freak. The only thing, and I think that this was a failure of the PR package, but I have two of these here. These are the blush bombs. One is in Smash, and ironically it got smashed in transit, and it is quite red, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer on me. You know, the only way you're gonna get fjords out of that is if you are extraordinarily olive. So you have the green to counterbalance the red and it's gonna give you that little bit of whatever's left over, you know? But for some people, that is the best way to go about it. Then we have, yeah, this is Big O. And this is just, oh my Lord, look at that. Candy Apple Red. That is not my color, it is not my color, it is not my color. I say it all the time, but it is a beautiful color nonetheless. And did you watch it turn pink on me? Did you watch that? I will solve that for y'all here, there. I know a lot of y'all are like, it's on your beauty mark. The next one here, one of my faves, this is the RMS. They're kind of newish blushes. They're called the Redimension Hydra Powder Blushes. And this is in the shade Hanky Panky. This is such a yummy texture. It's like this slightly iridescent gel to powder kind of texture, and it shifts just ever so slightly blue. It's really lovely. It's, oh my goodness. Something about that just made me think of Hope Mess Tom. Tom, would you wear a color like that? I don't know why. That just made me think of them. Interesting. like maybe it's the blue shift. It just seems like it's got like this much kind of a cool little twist on being just, you know, straight down the barrel of a great color, that I think that they would really enjoy that. Either way, all of the shades of this are really beautiful, and this is a great powder version of a Fjords color. All right, next one that I just absolutely do not recommend at all, and that is the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer Blushes. This is the shade Croissant. And I had such high hopes. I had such high hopes for these, but they dry down too fast. So it's like they're really, really difficult to work with. And it's a shame because I have had a lot of people in my comments be like, okay, but like I need a dupe for that shade because it's so great, but they agree that the formula is not ideal. So I would say you're in Storm Cloud Paintville, sort of. Wow, it really is unique, isn't it? It has a shift too. Oh wow, look at that, it has a shift. So maybe Hanky Panky is like more similar to it, but that's not a gel. How annoying. Sorry y'all. All right, going in with Kierweiss. This has been Simonized back when he was a little bit more, you know, inclined to do these things. But this is the shade Effervescence right here. While I don't think that this was as nuanced as I was hoping that it was going to be when I finally got it in my hand, it's still really beautiful, and I think that Effervescence is an unbelievable color. Look at that. So it's got quite a bit more pink and blue, so more purple, than this one here, and it does make that Laura Mercier one look very rusty by comparison. And if you're unfamiliar with the Kierweiss, they're actually doing 25% off right now, but the Kierweiss cheek formula is, if you're gonna get anything from Kierweiss, do their blushes. All right, very expensive. We have the Chanel, it's so hard to read black writing on that color. The Red Camellia Revitalizing Lip and Cheek Balm. That was worth it, right? This is in the shade 6 Berry Boost, and this is dewy, dewy, dewy. It's not coming off a dewy, and it doesn't really dry down. It's very, very pretty because it's super pigmented, and so you don't have to use a whole bunch, and so it's not gonna get all mucky unless you really pile it on. But I do want to give you fair warning, it kind of behaves like a lip balm. Like a really nice lip balm. But it's like got a lot of tug to it, you know? Like we're back up into like Glossier, Cloud Paint, and Haze territory, or the YSL. You know, very, very similar. Here's one that I absolutely detest, and I'm really sorry about it. Pacifica! I don't know. It feels like they just don't get a lot right. Is that just me? Like all their products, I'm just like, wow, y'all really like put in all the effort on packaging, and then the formulas are like, wah, wah, you know? So this is the Fluffy Blushy, and this is in the shade Pink Haze, but like it's clearly like it's like a berry color. I can't even fit my finger in there without getting it all underneath my nails. Here's the freaking issue. I'm gonna stick my fingernail in there and get like a whopper of a swatch so that I can actually show y'all this, because it has no pigment to it. What in the heck is that? Look at it. Like I yanked a whole bunch out on my fingernail so that I could like grab a decent swatch. Like that's how much I dug out of there. And then you put it on and it's like, I feel like Pacifica is the thought leader in making drugstore products at drugstore prices that end up being more expensive pound for pound because you either don't get very much product or you don't get very much payoff. It's definitely not a superlative you want to be known by, Pacifica, okay? We calls them likes we sees them around here. All right, next we have Beach Please from Tower 28, and this is in Power Hour. Oh my word, look at that. Look at it! Not everybody's favorite formula because it does stay so dewy, but it's a lot like the Chanel in the sense that you don't have to use very much, and it is great if you have dry skin. Look at it, and I never got the mauve ones. They said they were sending them to me and they didn't, so I mean, absolutely no shade, but like that's why I don't have them, is I tend to wait because I don't want to end up with two. If they say they're gonna send them to me, I would rather them tell me that they weren't if they weren't going to, so that I would just buy them. I would have bought them during the Sephora sale, so, you know, it's just logistics, but regardless, that is just so unbelievably beautiful, and that is Power Hour. Look at it, it's like this perfect kind of orange, rusty bricky orange. Love it, love it, love it, love it. So yeah, super similar on me to Cloud Paint. Bear in mind, I have neutral undertones with like a touch of golden, and the golden becomes more apparent as I get more sun. So you're not gonna see a lot of it right now because I just had like a chemical peel and I've been on a retinol regimen and it's not sunny outside and hasn't been for a while. So my skin looks a lot less saturated, but bear in mind that regardless, undertones are undertones, and it's going to counterbalance any of the like purple tones. Like I always say, if you watch like Shelby Wilson or Sam Ravidal or anybody, like they are super, super golden. And if they were to do this, it would look entirely different on them. Next we have the Color Science Sun Forgettable Total Protection Color Balm. This is a cheek blush. It's a cheek blush, Khaki. It's a blush that is also a 50, come on, Khaki. Somebody bring out the hook. It is an SPF 50 broad spectrum mineral sunscreen. PA+++++. So, is this where I have a mustache? I think this is the part where I get a mustache. Berry, very berry, but super pretty. And you know, rarely do I see a brand combine cosmetics, like color cosmetics and sunscreen so beautifully as Color Science. They just do a really great job. I'm not saying every product from them is, you know, A+ stamp of approval, but these are lovely. They did a really, really good job. Like they don't have this like mineral cast to them at all. They're gorgeous. It's a beautiful mustache. Okay, next, this is new from Persona and this is Jam. This falls squarely in the middle of that color right there. It's my reference point of colors that I absolutely adore. They are incredibly appetizing and I'm obsessed, but I don't wear them very well. It's like the candy apple red of purple because it goes super, super pink. And it's just really hard for me to wear because I have to build in so many medium tones in order to counterbalance how pink it wants to go on me and kind of the translucency of it. But again, it's like got a lot of pink in it. So if you've got a lot of green in your skin and you're gonna be able to counterbalance that pink, you're gonna get something really beautiful and rich that looks at home on you. So yeah, I can't wear those shades because I just don't have enough green in my skin. Next we have Blood Flower from, this is the Nectar Blushes. Yeah, the Color Nectar Pigment Balm from Ritual Defeat in Blood Flower. I've had this one for a while and I don't get a lot of use out of it because it's red. It's like red, 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 you know? It's verging on candy apple. So that's the challenge there, but it's very beautiful if you can wear a true red that's, you know, kind of blood colored. I do love the Ritual. Ritual Defeat is great at color. They just do nuanced, muddied colors. I have a shade here in the Fenty. This is Summertime Wine. Cool Berry, oddly, is like too, it's not Fjordsy. But Summertime Wine is. Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, Cloud Paint and Haze. It's got that like pinky thing to it. Very pretty, but a lot of people argue that they weren't really like very much product for the money. I don't know, I think they're great. Then we have Bitten from M Cosmetics, another creator who just knows color. Look at that. And I guess I'm biased because that's a color that just works really well on me. We are, you know, in Storm Cloud Paintville, very, very similar to Power Hour, maybe a little bit more blue. And now I'm going to pull out all of my Salt New York. Okay, here's the thing. She already took down the story on Salt New York of what the new core shades are going to be. So like the best one that I have here is Sugar Plum. Maybe it's called, yeah, Sugar Plum. There's Sugar Plum. I don't think that Sugar Plum is returning. So that's kind of a silly thing to do. And the only other thing I have here is just, and I'm not even sure that she still makes this, but this is the Nudist palette from Danessa Myricks. And I just have to mention from the standpoint of deep skin tones, like how lovely some of these shades right here are. They're going to like give you all your kind of rich brown leaning towards like berry colors. It's just going to satisfy all of your dreams. And then it also has this full spectrum of cool and warm up here. The colors, I just have to talk about it because look at them. Like they go all the way from like a kind of mauvey brown to like a deep purple brown to like a true, you know, chocolate brown. And this one's gonna be a little bit more rusty. So yeah, those are my Fjordsy shades in my collection. We're gonna need to do a refreshed kind of Fjordsy tutorial. I feel like I've been very like, you know, cool tones and snatched lately, and like I feel like we need to get into the fjords of it all. But there's only one thing left to do, and that is swirl all of these together. She's an influencer. Oh, she's full of helpful tips on how to do makeup. I love how the cloud paints just like don't move at all. Well, I'm gonna go wash this brush because it's done. And I hope you'll enjoy this year's installment of FJORDSFEST. And I hope that this is a helpful touch point for people who have been wondering what the heck we're talking about when we talk about Fjords cheeks. So now you know. And I will link all these products down below. I will link FJORDSFEST from last year right here for y'all. And if you've already seen it, I will link another video that I have chosen specifically for you right here. So I hope you enjoyed, and you should probably subscribe if you haven't already. You made it to the end of the video. You might as well, you're gonna keep watching anyway. And I make a lot of content. I love making content for y'all. So thank you so much for being here with me. I love y'all so much, and I will see you in the next one. I'm gonna go wash my face.